I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to make a video series about something that is rather important, especially in this, in the world we live in today and how dangerous it's become. But I have to give you a backstory because this is going to be not a long video, not this one, but it will be a long series. And I say this because since I started doing radio years ago, 2008, when I started doing it in radio school, I came across a story about Oprah Winfrey and her New Age movement. So I went and started doing research on this New Age movement, and I was finding, what would you call it, multiple branches of a huge oak tree of where this system, this movement has come from. How many people are using it, how dangerous it is, where they get their info from, where they get their system, I guess you would say. And I started to look into people that have been past New Age worshipers or people that were strong into it. And I started interviewing people like that and so on and so forth. And really uncovering something that is extremely very important because it reaches every aspect on our planet today. Anywhere from religion, the green movement that everybody's on, climate change kind of thing. And I'll add that in later on. Business, politics, you name it. It's branched out. I found people in business. I found people in politics. I found people that were in the music industry, the Hollywood, normal, everyday, average people that are not living this unrealistic, world that they live in Hollywood, things like that. I started to go into this, and the reason I started to go into this and slowly started getting out of ghost hunting, I got into, I wouldn't call it ghost hunting. I was more into trying to prove, well, later on I started out that way, but it's kind of complicated. I tried to prove more that it was not so much as ghosts when I got into this, started to look into this movement and do research on it, that I found that what people are looking at are not actual dead people. And these people in the New Age movement know this. A lot of them know this. A lot of them know what they're doing. And the thing is, interesting part about it is that they don't seem to care. Their whole intention is to destroy modern day society as it is and to eliminate a whole lot of things that we live with today. It's complicated for me to talk about because it's so hard to understand and it's so hard to you have to pretty much get what I'm saying. It's kind of like a coded kind of thing, like the Bible. It's hard to understand, and I'm not saying it has anything to do with that. It's just complicated and it's hard to understand, and you really, really have to know a whole lot of info to get what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm the most intelligent person on the planet, because there is no way that I am. I'm not saying that that I have great, vast knowledge, world Einstein renowned Tesla kind of stuff, because I don't. There are, like I said, there are multiple branches of this movement, and it goes out in different areas. Even our financial system is based on this for decades. And it's kind of hard to understand, and it's kind of hard to believe it. But the more I tell you about it, if I go into this, because it's going to take more than one video to talk about it. If I go into this for quite some time, you will start to understand, and you'll be wowed by the whole thing. You will get to the point where you're just shocked at what is going on basically behind the veil in this country, basically in this world, in our history since 1800s, when the Fox sisters started modern day spiritualism. Now, this is supposedly where it started. You can look it up, who these people are. And a lot of people will say, well, they faked the ghosts that they had in the house, and they were telling the truth about the ghosts they had in the house, and so on and so forth. But the point is, because of what they have done and where they have gone, and doing shows around the country, even was a part of Barnum and Bailey doing mediumship and things like that for people to see them and pay to have psychic powers and stuff like that, for them to see into their dead relatives and things like that. It started a movement where people have picked up on it through the years and had millions of followers. Millions of people were manipulated because of these three sisters, actually, that started modern day spiritualism. And this was around the 1840s. So because of this, we had people like Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln that was doing seances, and Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Even Obama has brought up things in his speeches about things that only people in the New Age movement talk about, and some of the things that they say. There are several businesses that is into the New Age movement and show you the symbols of the New Age movement and basically tell you, hey, we're a part of this religion or group or whatever you call it. Basically, their main focus is the story of Adam and Eve. When the serpent came to Adam and Eve, and they were eating from the tree of life, the fruit from the tree of life, and they were told not to do it. And the serpent came to them and said, it's okay to do so, because eating from the tree of life, and when, even though God told you not to, you will live forever. You will become gods. You will become your own gods, and manipulated them into doing what they did and caused all this chaos since the beginning of Adam and Eve. But, and you know the story, so many businesses follow this concept. This is the concept the New Age movement uses. And the reason I say this is because if you look at things like Apple and how Apple started, the founders of Apple were into the New Age movement. If you look at their history and find out the things that they were doing, they were into this New Age movement, the New Age, and things like that. And to prove this, if you look at the symbol of the apple, it's an apple with a bite taken out of it. There is nothing in the Bible that says that Adam and Eve bit from the apple. That is just a what do you call a myth, that it was not an apple, because it doesn't say that in the Bible. But this is a concept that they used. And same thing with Starbucks with the mermaid, and we'll get into that as time goes on. And Starbucks uses that, and when I looked into their history, their founders were into the New Age movement. So on and so forth. The shell with the, the symbols and things like that. So let me give you a backstory of when this started for me. So when I move on later on, I could tell you. The reason this movement is going on started with that Bible scripture in Genesis that mentions Adam and Eve eating from the tree of life, and the serpent telling them, you will become gods. You will personally become your own gods. So Madame Petrovna Blavatsky, which was one of the founders, also a founder of the New Age, and a lot of people followed her, especially psychics, mediums, people in the paranormal, so on and so forth. Even Adolf Hitler followed her concept because Madame Blavatsky believed in the Aryan. She believed in that whole system. And her system was followed by Hitler, which started the Aryan, believed in her concept and all this stuff. But if you look in Madame Blavatsky's books, she brings up the fact of the serpent, we become gods and all that stuff. I'm a god, you're a god, this cup is a god, glasses are a god, everything's a god. They believe in this concept. She wrote in her books that God, the one that we follow in Christianity and religion, the Bible, is the true Satan, and Satan is the real God. She believed in Lucifer. She didn't call him Satan, but she believed in Lucifer. She said Lucifer was a god. Lucifer was who she followed, in so many words. So a lot of occult followers follow this concept. A lot of your New Agers follow this concept. You will find that some of the words that come out of her books and New Agers' mouths, especially the new teachers today, and like Eckhart Tolle, and I guess that's his name, Tolle, use the same concept, use the same words. What was it? Jay-Z Knight uses the same concept, uses the same words, so on and so forth. Will follow the same system as Madame Blavatsky, and back toward the age of spiritualism and so on and so forth. So therefore, this is why you have people like Starbucks, not Starbucks, but Apple and Steve Jobs, that use the symbol of the apple with the bite taken out of it, because they were followers of the New Age. Or he was. I don't think Wozniak was, but I believe he was. So this is why we have so much of it in politics and so on and so forth. And you see a lot of people in Oprah's New Earth religion thing that she follows, like Jim Carrey and so on and so forth, that have said in the past, we're all gods, because they believe in the same concept. You will find that things in the Bible that are in prophecy about 2/3 of the world being wiped out, which are talking about human beings, you will find that people in business today, like, Microsoft, what's his name? Bill Gates, have said this in the past. You can look it up on YouTube, have said, this is problem with this world is we have too many people and we need to just cut down by 2/3. Things like that. They're eating up all the food. They're drinking up all the water. Blah, 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 blah. The excuses are just unstoppable. These are the excuses they use to do whatever their bidding is. Unbelievable. So, But the more I did research, the more I was finding out about stuff like this. And I started to see a lot of it, giving you back the backstory now, seeing a lot of it in the paranormal, seeing a lot of it in among these ghost hunters, because I was meeting, at the time I was deep into my radio shows and seeing these people that were pretty popular on TV at the time. And a lot of them were popular going to ghost conventions and mediums and psychics and ghost hunters and, your Zach Baggins and your, things like that. A lot of these people, I was finding out little by little that they were actually into, I'm not saying Zach Baggins in particular because he's never mentioned it, but I have seen videos of him in his home where I thought, okay, that looks a little dark to me. So people like that that are pretty popular in the field, I was starting to find out that this is the same speech pattern and the same concept that they were following. These are the kind of people that were using tarot cards, Ouija boards, crystals, anything to raise the spirits up and things like that. Extremely involved in it. And I found people that were extremely involved in it that got out of it. Some pretty bad things start to happen to them that were pretty interesting. Finding out that these people that cared about, they were loving and believed in peace and yogi and everything, all of a sudden turned violent. They weren't so loving and peaceful spirits after they decide, I don't want to believe this anymore. I'd rather believe in Christianity. I'd rather follow God. All of a sudden, these spirits, guides that they were talking to and so on and so forth started to be violent. I started to think, I thought maybe these spirits were supposed to be peaceful and loving and caring. Shouldn't it matter? It shouldn't matter where you go and what you believe in to make yourself feel better about yourself, to follow a path that makes your life peaceful. So why are you getting angry? So things weren't right. Things were just off a little bit. Now, I've been dealing with warnings my entire life. I've been confronted, like I said in the last video, about the man who claimed to be a minister that walked up to me with the two twins and things like that. I believe he was trying to manipulate me into following the path that I was actually going. And I believe the path was a good path that I was going. And he was trying to influence me into not following that path. And I thought it was really weird that after he left, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this guy, I didn't say a word to this guy. How the heck did he read my mind? And that's fine, because, you've been around so many teenagers so many times in your church that you know what they're thinking. But the point is, how did he know where I lived? I didn't give him my address. I didn't give him my phone number. I didn't give him my last name. None of that stuff. How did he know? Because I'm very cautious about that, especially back then, and there's a long history reason for that. So, anyway, I started to run into strange things like that in my lifetime. Confronted by things that were just a little off. And being young like that, in my teens, I was very naive. Very, I can be manipulated really easy about certain things. I wasn't in a good place mentally. I just left the church, which wasn't a smart thing to do, because I was a dumb teenager. I didn't have a very stable home, and that's no one's fault. I don't blame anyone for that. I had a whole lot of problems that I'm not going to get into that was really causing me to do things that I shouldn't have been doing. I got into binge drinking and got into, all kinds of stuff. And eventually it made me homeless. I turned into a homeless person. I lost my job. I lost my apartment I'm living in. I lost my girlfriend at the time, eventually lost the vehicle I was sleeping in, and I was right on the street. So on and so forth. But that's a different story. It took a lot to make me grow up. And I think a lot of it had to do with, I say, punishment for myself for the bad things that I've done. I've done my crime, or done my time for the crimes I've done, and I have paid for the sins at the time. And for years, I punished myself, even after that, for years, because of what I've done. Punishing myself and didn't think I was good enough or deserved anything better than what I had. But I was still following the path of trying to do better. Around the late 90s, I started getting into the paranormal because I lived in a home that was very shaky when it comes to door slamming, voices being heard, things that were not normal. And I had to have people over there to prove that I wasn't going nuts. I had to have people over there, friends, family, things like that, to spend a lot of time hanging out with me, because most of it would only happen when I was around by myself. And they started to see what I was seeing. They started to hear what I was hearing. We started to catch things on video that are not normal. For example, we caught a door slamming up at the top of the stairs in a room. It was a room upstairs, had no door. We call it loft. And I had my camera on the steps, and we had a camera upstairs. And the door upstairs at the top of the steps slammed shut. No one could have passed that camera upstairs, and no one could have passed that camera downstairs, so it can't be explained. Things like that were going on. Seeing shadows of human beings on the walls. There were just, the list goes on. And we're not talking ghosts, because I've already proved that wasn't ghosts there. And I've talked about this story on my show before that proved it wasn't ghosts. So after that, and time went on, I started to get into ghost hunting with everybody else because of the experiences I've had. And they'll tell you, I got into ghost hunting because I have experiences. But I started to notice things that weren't normal ghost hunting things. These were demonic. So because I started following that concept to prove that it was demonic, and there's a lot of shaky stuff like out there, like the New Age movement and things like that. The people that were part of the ghost hunting crews, some of them were popular, some of them were famous, some of them knew me pretty well, and I knew them pretty well. I didn't hang out with them buddy, but I started to be shunned by the Society of the Paranormal because I didn't follow their little girl ghost, old lady in a white dress concept. And because I didn't do this, I got shunned. And it's kind of hypocritical, because these are people that grew up being shunned by society for having problems with ghosts in their house, that were being called crazy for things that they saw, things that they heard, being called satanic by their religion because they were playing with Ouija boards, or because they were trying to understand what was happening to them, and they were being called all kinds of names, so they were basically cast out of society. So that's what they started doing to me, which started to, at first it really ticked me off, because I know a lot of these people not only were doing it for to get themselves a pleasure out of it, but a lot of people were doing it for the money. They weren't actually doing it to help people out there that needed it. They weren't doing it out there for the people that find a route out to help themselves, not, in the long run, perish for their sins or perish for the things that they've done or for the things that were going on in their life. Why was this happening to me? Why was I having problems in my house? And I go into these houses and you'd see occult books everywhere, all kinds of magic stuff, and you wonder why you have problems. So they didn't want to hear that. It got to the point where I would go to places and try to prove this stuff is not what you think it is. The owners of the house didn't want to be there. Why did they not want to be there? Because I think deep down they knew what was there and they were afraid to find out. So, I started having confrontations in this field that were proven what they were what they were. They were not of human origin, okay? Because we're not dealing with things that these ghost hunters are being manipulated by, and they're being fooled. They're being fooled, they're being manipulated, and if they are not, they're lying to you. Because as many years as they have been doing this stuff, especially on TV, they have got to know in their mind that something's not right about it. If they are telling you, we go through this all the time, they're lying to you. Because it didn't take me long. So the problem is, they didn't like me there, and I got shunned because I didn't hide it like they do. I didn't follow the system or the program like they did. I didn't go their route. So, and it's sad because a lot of these people are nice people and good people. But, it's the way it goes, and that's life, I guess. But because of the reputation that I had, I started to have people wanting me to prove to them that this stuff was not what it is. I even had a guy, I don't remember, I think it was a documentarian or something, or some guy writing for a newspaper. I don't know the reason he was doing it. All I know is he told me that he was writing and documenting and maybe doing a documentary. I wasn't paying that much attention, but this group of ghost hunters took me to this haunted cemetery, and he wanted to prove, because this guy was he was a huge skeptic. He didn't believe in any of this stuff was real, and I don't blame him. But everything that he was totally I'm not going to believe that. He would not believe nothing you told him. He would not believe any the stories you said. He would not believe any of this stuff. This guy was a huge skeptic, and it was interesting. So when we're in the cemetery, this stuff does not happen to normal ghost hunters. If it does, it could be possible that it does, but they're hiding this stuff. This is stuff that they're not going to tell you on TV. The reason is because, hello, Hollywood, they want it done their own way. Hello, Hollywood, these are people that are dealing with the New Age movement. Hello, Hollywood, these are people that are in the occult and Satanism. So they want you to believe in their mind that they are little girls, that there are people in the cemetery that are kids, that the people who died in the cemetery are Joe Blow from 1815 and he's a cowboy. They want you to believe this stuff because that is what the whole concept of Satan was trying to do, Lucifer, since Adam and Eve. You're all gods. So this guy's in the cemetery with me, and this is one of the stories. Before I get into the story of why I decided, not doing this anymore. Not ghost hunting. He's in the cemetery, and he decides he wants to hang out with me while the rest of the group goes and does their own thing. He decides he wants to hang out with me. And I think he wanted to hang out with me because I was probably the most intriguing person there. And maybe it's because of the stories I had to tell. Maybe it's because the guy that was there told him things that I've said on my show. But he seemed to be more interested in what I had to say and what I was doing than the people that had the actual real equipment. So I find that interesting, but okay. I don't, I'm going to prove this thing is satanic, okay? And maybe that's why he was more interested, because probably give him better writing material, better something for what project he was doing. It would be better for him. But the interesting part of this, what happened when he was with me, because he was with me alone, and the group went off and did their own thing. We had a walkie-talkie, and we would communicate with a group that was way off into the cemetery, probably 100 to 200 yards away from where we were. And we were standing there talking. And as we were talking, we could see the group with the flashlight, probably 100 yards away, messing around next to the tombstones. And we saw this out of the corner of our eye. We weren't paying much attention to it because we saw them over there. They were walking around where the tombstones are. So the walkie-talkie goes off, and the guy that was over there on the other side of the cemetery tells us, you want to come back and meet up with us? We're over here, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. So when I looked at him and looked back over there and started walking toward that direction, there was no light. There was no people. There was nothing over there. What we saw, not even 30 seconds from when we were standing there. We saw people standing over there with a flashlight, not 30 seconds. It was them that was standing over there 30 seconds ago. Okay, the people that drove us there, the other group that was hanging out doing ghost hunting, we saw them over there walking around. But as soon as we go to walk over there, they're not there anymore. We turned around and looked, and he said, over here. They were over on our left side. Probably not even 50 yards from where we were, on our left side. So I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, how the hell did they get over there? And this guy was like, I don't know, but... Now, this is a downright bleeding heart skeptic, but he could not answer that. He did not have an answer for why they were over there. And then all of a sudden they're over here. He could not answer that. He could not come up with an explanation, because I could not come up with an explanation how they got from there to here in less than 30 seconds. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know who that was over there, but we were seeing the girl and the guy that came with us, or we came with them, over there 30 seconds ago, and now they're over here on our left side walking around. So I don't know if we were seeing things. We couldn't explain it. He could not give me an answer for it, but we left that night, and I swear this guy was silent for the rest of the night. He didn't have anything to say about it. He couldn't explain it. And I couldn't explain it. But these are the kind of things that I would run into. These are mind games that these things play. They play these mind games all the time, just like every time you point a camera to your front, your right on your front, when you're in a ghost hunting mood or whatever, something happens behind the camera. Or you turn the camera around and face it behind you, something happens on this side where the camera is not, because it doesn't want to be seen on camera. I've had tapes, DVRs that were physically erased. There's no way you could erase it unless you did it yourself. I've had videotapes that were edited out. An hour was cut off of the videotape. An hour, like 12:40 to 1:40. There was the videotape, the DVR was erased, both of them, and my camera, which you physically have to go in there and delete the photos yourself. This was in Colorado. Were taken off my camera. Something was in that part of the hotel that didn't want to be seen. So there are things that humans cannot do that were happening to me. So one day, and I'm sorry this is long, but I'm giving you a backstory of why I'm getting into this New Age movement and proving what these things aren't, real, what you really think they are. One day I'm standing in my kitchen and I'm making food for a 5-year-old. Okay. I'm standing at the stove and he's standing right next to me, just waiting on me or something, whatever he's doing. And I saw out of the corner of my eye toward the front door. Front door's open, screen door's closed. I saw someone walking. He walked from the hallway toward the front door and disappeared. Okay? I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Now, I'm like, because what I saw was a person without a head that walked from the hallway toward the front door without a freaking head. Okay? I'm just like, trying to think it was my eyes or mess with my eyes. But then he looks up at me and says, pointed toward the door and said, "Who is that?" A 5-year-old said this to me. I didn't say anything to him. He just looks up at me and points toward the door and said, "Who was that?" And I said, "Nobody." Ever since then, I said enough is enough. So I started carrying the Bible with me when I'm sleeping, and if I have issues in my house, I will use it to the full extent. I have ways of protecting myself. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm a long way from being perfect, and I'm going to pay for my sins, and a lot of things are going to happen to me, probably in the long run, I'm sure. But my point is, I want people to know that the crap's about to hit the fan, and you need to take care of yourself, because you may be in some serious hoo-ha before long. You have children to protect. You have families of your own to protect. You have loved ones you need to watch out for. Things that are more important in society than you can possibly imagine. And you do not want to lose these people. And you do not want to lose these people to things like this. And you do not want to lose people to sins and things that you'll be struck down for. It's not worth it. So anyone out there that's into this movement or ghost hunting and things like that, heed my warning, because I'm going to give you some videos and talk about later on in time by proving to you that these people are not who you think they are. We have talked about in our history about Hitler. And I'm going to show you something real quick before I get off here. If I can share the screen. Hold on 1 second. I think that's it. Yeah, here it is. I want to show you something here. Let me put this down. Okay. This is something I found a while back about Adolf Hitler and the cult. Like I said, he was into the New Age movement and so on and so forth. A lot of people don't realize this because they spend more time in history learning about World War II and the battles and blah, blah, blah. But they don't understand the reason why Hitler was after the Jews and killing Jehovah's Witnesses and gypsies and so on and so forth. Why he was killing people like this. This came in the media in October 2011. Now, it's also on a white supremacy page and things like that talk about this. And this is an unsolved mystery blogspot thing by Curio, published October 11th, 2009, or October 9th, 2011, and it was in Germany. And it says Dr. Lieber Greta from Germany, a paranormal specialist demon hunter, found a letter of agreement expecting mysterious yet authentic. Now, everybody knows that Hitler and his cronies were into the occult. They were into the New Age movement. Look at the history and the parades they had and the things that they worshipped and so on and so forth. Just by the actions that they have done proves that they were into this. In the former ruins of the building that used to be used by Adolf Hitler's suicide, Dr. Greta found a letter of agreement which alleged was among Hitler's testament with Satan, and shows a picture of the letter, but I can't read it, can't get it to come get any bigger. It does say April 1932. Letter of agreement dated April 30th, 1932. This letter was signed with blood of both parties. In it, Satan is called Lucifer promised to give Hitler unlimited power, saying Führer will become absolute ruler of an entire country of Germany and parts of Europe. So it will be flattered and honored the millions of people. Although to get all of it must use the power of large-scale evil. In return, Hitler gave his soul to the devil 13 years later. You know, whatever, soul with the devil, nothing to do with that. It just has to do with the letter. That's the point. In front of 11 people, the Dirk Kanye, panelist in Synopsium, in a Synopsium, Dr. Greta said that the Pact Treaty truly authentic. What is written in it fits well with the course of history and hundreds of cases that occurred during World War II took place. According to Greta, history has shown that Hitler failed in his actions before the year 1932. He failed to complete high school, also 2 times slumped in art school and entrance exams. He became unemployed and even once went to jail. Dr. Greta about some of Hitler's life journey. In 1932, Hitler's life completely changed. People started listening to his remarks like a rocket. His career took off very quickly. Right in the month of 1933, Hitler had become ruler of the month of January, the German kingdom. On April 30th, 1935, exactly 13 years from the date of the agreement with the Devil's Pact signed, Hitler's power collapsed. The letter of agreement allegedly made between Hitler and Lucifer was found in an iron chest in a former building where Hitler is expected to commit suicide. Although the letter was slightly damaged, it was still legible. The letter agreement is now in the Berlin Institute of German History and as research material. Okay. So things like that kind of, tell you that where this is going, okay? Because he was involved in that. This is a guy that sacrificed children. This is a guy, I saw a video once of Germany. It was an assembly line of babies that they were keeping and tossing the ones that had flaws. Okay, these are people that destroyed people for minor defects. These was a group of people that were killing children that had epilepsy, that had that were mentally unstable, had mental defects, physical defects. If you were, had any kind of problem, heart trouble, history of heart trouble, history of the religion you were in, hearing loss, anything that was a defect, large or small, would eliminate these children. And we got more children today with autism than we've ever had in our history. We have, because I have, you know, children that I know of, in stepdaughter's son, because I don't have kids of my own. Stepdaughter's son has a slight form of autism. So these are people that were eliminating children for this. These people in the New Age movement have said this in their past videos, in their past history. Things like this, children like this, groups of people need to be eradicated for the flaws that they have. If you were born in a poor family, you needed to be eliminated because the likelihood that you would grow up committing crimes and grow up doing the same thing that you were born in. These are the same people that, so if you have any idea of being involved in any kind of New Age type things, any occult material, anything that has to do with that, and have children, think about this for a second. Think about it. Your kids are on that list. Many of you, maybe you don't care. That's your problem. That's up to you. But your children will be on that list of people that they feel should not deserve to be in today's society. These are people that have done this. These are people today that Margaret Sanger has brought this up in a CBS interview that I'll talk about later on, and I'll show in some of the videos. She's brought this up. And don't get me wrong, there are people in religions that work for the wrong side too, that have freely admitted this on TV, live TV, and interviews and things like that, that have admitted that they're not working for the right side. And I have videos of that. So they're not completely innocent either. So these are the things that I decided, you know what? I'm not going to live my life seeing this. I'm not going to live my life down the path that I've done in the past. You can banish me. You can shun me. You can do whatever you want. But I'm not the 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old that I used to be. I don't put up with people anymore. I'm not a person that trusts a lot of people because of the things that I've seen. The things that I've been, the confrontations that I've been in. I am not a person that can trust people very easily. And I've done my research. And I've done my research on these people. And I've done my research on people that think that think that they're innocent. And I know they're not innocent. I've done my research, and I'm a very, very detailed person when it comes to seeing things. I may not catch it immediately, but eventually I do. And I see the details in the videos. I see the details in the photos. I see the details and, so on and so forth. I've seen Hillary Clinton on her lapel, the Phoenix bird. The Phoenix bird is a part of a an occult, New Age, New World Order movement group or whatever, secret society, and the Phoenix bird lapel on her clothing. And I've seen her saying, "Look at my lapel," and vote for me, and whatever. Not getting into that. But I've seen people on TV shows and live TV and interviews and things like that. I've seen one recently. They had the same Phoenix bird lapel on her clothing. I don't remember what the interview was, but I saw it recently. Now, I noticed this right off. I seen it right off. I noticed it. So anyway, talking too much, but the point is, I know when things are not what they say they are, and very detailed, and I'm going to give you these details later on in videos down the line. So keep that in mind. Keep watching because it's going to happen. I'm going to show you this, and it's going to be an interesting one. But anyway, I used to do this in my shows, and I guess I'm going to switch to YouTube videos because I don't know if anyone's going to be even listening to my shows anymore, or even how to do this, unless they get on my station, and I do it on my station. But anyway, that's what I'm going to try to do down the road. But for now, I think these YouTube videos are best because I can actually show the audio and the video and the photos of things that I've picked up over the years. But like I said, keep in mind what's at stake for the things that you're doing. If you're involved in your little yogi things, and you're doing your little pendulums, and you're what do you call it, putting you in a trance and knocking you out so you can stop smoking, or just things you think is innocent, doing the little crystals to make your life feel better, or doing crystals to take away your sadness, or your stones to whatever it is. Keep in mind, do your research, because it is my guarantee that you haven't done your research on these people and where this stuff comes from. I have guaranteed that you haven't done your research on this stuff. But watching these videos, you won't have to do your research, because I'll prove to you that this stuff has existed for a long time, and it's not the legitimate people you think it is. And they're not here to help you, and they're not here to make your life better. And in the long run, a time was going to come when these people are going to pay for the things that they've done, and they're going to pay hard for it. So keep that in mind. And I don't think you want to be in that, in those shoes yourself. But like I said, it's your business. It's up to you if you want to do that. But, me personally, I wouldn't want to. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it, everybody. And until next time when we get ourselves together and show you more of this stuff, until that time, thanks for listening. I know it's been long, and I do appreciate it. Tell your friends about this, because it's a coming. And shout out to my videos so I can get more followers, because this needs to be. Oh, and by the way, I want to tell you about one confrontation that I've had years ago after I got off the street from being homeless, and I started working in a bakery here in Dallas. And I was putting donuts on a shelf one time inside of a case, and this guy, because the front door is around the corner where you walk out. Most of your delis and bakeries are in the front of the stores, and a lot of these grocery stores. This guy walks around the corner from coming outside, and he comes straight up to me, and I still remember what it looks like. He was a black guy, not tall, and he wasn't young. He was probably maybe in his 40s, because he was kind of gray-haired, 40s or 50s. He comes straight up to me from walking around the corner. He says, "Someday people are going to follow you. You know that?" And I'm like, "Okay." He says, "No, trust me. You're going to have a lot of followers. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be following you one day. You'll see. You'll see. You're going to have a lot of followers. You're going to be huge." I'm like, "Dude, I'm just putting donuts in the case. I'm not any better than that, and I'm not going to be any better than the person standing here putting donuts in the case. I'm going to be a person putting donuts in the case today, and I'm going to be a person putting donuts in the case tomorrow. I'm nobody. You'll see." I'm like, "Okay, putting donuts in the case." And he just walks around the corner and leaves. He didn't even come into the store to buy anything. And I'm like, "Okay, what the hell was that all about?" That's not the first time that's happened. But I had a lady once who walked into, and I believe this is some kind of lady that was in, believed in Atlantis and, the New Age stuff, and I don't know. But I'm, when I was 18, 19, working at Walmart at a cash register, this woman walks up, And she looks me straight in the eye when she come up to my register. And she looks at me in the eye and drops everything and gets scared. And I'm like, okay, you all right there? And she nearly, I am not lying, she nearly starts bowing down to me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And this lady comes and she says, you were a person that was, I met you in my past life. Let's just say that. I'm like, okay. She said, you were some kind of ruler or warrior or something in her past life, and she was one of my slaves or something like that. And I said, okay, I'm just taking your money. I don't understand what that is. And she was pretty serious. I believe she believed what she was saying. By her actions of fear and the way she was acting, she was not making this stuff up in her own mind. I don't believe that to be true, but I believe that she believed it by the way she was acting, because she was shivering. And she was almost like a person that acts strange, like they're about to get beat up or something, about to take a beating. And I'm just telling her, I'm just, working Walmart. I'm nobody, But it was really weird. It was strange. That's not the only time I've ran into things like that. But these people out here think that I don't have those abilities. I have those abilities. I just don't use them because these abilities are not coming from the right place. These abilities are not, you're not being told by a spirit that died. You're not being told things by a spirit guide. You're being told by some pretty bad entities what your future is, who your friends are. I believe these people can see what they say they're seeing. I believe these people can see astral projection of their mother sitting at a table from 20 miles out from where they are and seeing that she's eating a Pop-Tart. These people can see things because they're getting information from entities that they do not know what they are. They think it's their spirit guide when these are not a spirit guide. These things are not what you think they are, but they're getting information from them. I've had things like that happen to me. Stupidly, I've done things like that. Trust me. We'll get into that later, and it's it's a scary thing because it scares the crap out of you when it works, okay? It scares the crap out of you because you don't feel comfortable. And if you're not feeling comfortable, it's not coming from a good place. But anyway, enough of that. Until tomorrow, guys, gals, and everybody else, thank you for listening, and see ya.